huge shout out to Mutable Instruments. They have a lot more modules except Plaits. I think that's how you say it. That's kind of like braids in the UK. Or even they call it brads. It's like a different module that is older but similar to Plaits. That's what we're going to call it today. So huge shout out to them. They discontinued, I think, all their devices, maybe as a company even, but released all the code open source. And there were a few people, specifically one of them, I will share all the links, of course, as always, in the PDF. I have a bunch of links for other clones of Mutable Instrument stuff, and of course all the manual and cheat sheets, and even some custom Max4Live devices we're going to check out, a lot of presets that I've made, and an Ableton project just to demonstrate this insane, amazing capabilities of P4L, the Plaits for Live. So huge shout out to Mutable Instruments. There is also, if anyone is like a super nerd with Max, there is, where is it? Here we go. There is a programmer who made all the open source code for each module of Mutable Instruments as a Max external. So you can use those to build your own clones of the Max, all the Mutable Instruments in Max4Live. And that's exactly what Rico, the developer, made with this amazing, I love this synth so much, P4L, or Plaits for Live. So I had a chance to talk to Rico, who's the developer of this specific one. He did use what I just showed you, one of these externals, but he added a lot more on top of this clone. Just the external, he added all the stuff that you hopefully downloaded already saw. Now, when you download it, I would recommend installing it. When I share with you the presets, just install it in this way, just because it has to keep the hierarchy of the folders in order for it to recall the presets correctly. So I have it under user library, presets, instruments, and then under Max instrument, you can just drop the entire, this is how you download it, the entire P4L project. Inside of it, you would find this folder. Please make sure you have the latest version, 1.1. Although I will show you later, there is a bug that I reported. Maybe it's only on my computer and you can confirm with me. But right here, you open it up and you'll see the device itself. I did add it to my collections just so I can quickly access it. Okay, and here's the presets. You can open them up. These are the presets that come with the pack, and all my presets that I will share today, will explore them just to see the capabilities of this synth, because Plaits is essentially 16 different synthesizers built into one. They have 16 different synth engines. Plaits is also one of the main, if not the main inspiration for the newest Ableton synth, Meld. And we'll also, I had a chance, Ableton commissioned me to do a video about Meld. It's on my YouTube. And so I had a chance to interview Christian Klein, who's Max4Cats, one of the main developers for a lot of things in Ableton, including Meld. And he confirmed, yes, Plaits was, or macro oscillator, which originated from Plaits and braids, or brads, I don't know how you say it. And we'll see a lot of engines. Like, for example, we're going to start with the dual basic shapes. That's from Plaits, okay? So a lot of parallels, at least in the synth engines, when it comes to the new Meld, which is awesome. Definitely inspired by this thing, a macro oscillator or macro synthesizer. Nice. Now, because we have 16 engines, right here we can change them. Let me zoom in a tiny bit. Okay, because we have 16 engines, and we have similar control or similar title, they're named the same for each engine, it's somewhat annoying to just remember, it's hard to remember what each knob is doing for each engine. So there is, I gave you a link also to this dude made a cheat sheet. Unfortunately, here we have cheat sheet for the first 8 and then the next 8. There is also a risk, oh, I don't know how many years has passed. The latest firmware update for Plaits introduced more synth engines. I did talk to Rico. Hopefully it will be added in the future, these engines, but right now we only have this 16, which is a lot, but we don't have the latest one in this version of P4L, okay? Now, because it's annoying to even go back and forth, I did give you some details on each engine and some tips for sound design for each engine. I did make sure that we have presets, examples for each engine as well. But I also made, and if anyone here is a Max4Live developer, don't open it up because it's a mess, okay? But it works. I made a custom Max4Live device that I will share with everyone, which we loaded up. It's essentially open up this window. If you don't see the window, just click open. And then it's dynamically changing. Whenever you choose a different model, it will show us the different things that all the different knobs are doing. So it's going to be much easier to learn and to use this amazing synthesizer. So today we'll kind of do an overview of everything about this synth. We'll see some examples, and then later, of course, we'll make some music with it just to see how enormously capable this is because it has all these synth engines, okay? Sweet. So this one. Now, by the way, if you load it up and it doesn't work, just click initialize and it should work as intended, okay? But one thing, this has to come right after the synth, okay? It has to come to the right of it. So even if you have effects, just put it right after, click on it, and it should work. Sweet. So that's the cheat sheet, but I just took pictures from this. Okay, here's this. As you can see, it's the same thing. I just put it here so it's more easy to use. Nice. If anyone wants, you can open it up. It's just a mess because I'm not really a Max developer. I'm more of a hacker. I hacked my way into it. But it works. That's all it matters.
Cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, Nissi. Sweet. Okay. All good. So you guys can open it up and check it out. And you can even open this up and check this synth because it's a Max synth, and you can find how it's also that external that we talked about. If anyone wants, you can open it up, but we're not gonna go into Max today. Oh, that sometimes happens. Where is it? Let's mute this track. And that was our sound test, sound check. Hopefully you heard that. So if anyone wants to upgrade, do whatever you need to this, it's awesome synth. And comparing it to the original Plaits was monophonic, which it is by default, but this has 7 Plaits together, so it's polyphonic as well, and has some unison capabilities, which is awesome. Okay, great. Just before I forget, I will also share with you a rack. What is happening? This is so strange. Okay, I will share with you a rack here that is just a collection of Ableton built-in effects, just to give us kind of like a quick way of adding some effects into all the sounds, okay? So just so you know. Sweet. Let's do an overview, and then we'll make some music. So first of all, maybe we can quickly go through all the synth engines, but before, the synth engines, let's just see the kind of global controls that you will have with any engine. Let me also load my keyboard here, just so we can see, because before oops, I didn't even know you can do that. I accidentally dragged it here. I don't think, oh, it's still okay, it still works. Just so we have a keyboard so you can see what I'm playing, because before we're gonna do clips and all, I'm gonna just play on my MIDI keyboard here. Okay, nice. So this is our first engine here, virtual analog synthesis. It's a pair of classic waveforms. You can see it here. Just one note, the auxiliary is the oscillator mix. Okay, that's what auxiliary is. Sweet. Nice. So just global controls here before we dive deep. Let's just see what all the patches will have. Here is an octave changer, but this is a unique octave changer, meaning that when I change the octave, it will change the octave, but if I trigger another note, it will go back to the previous octave, or to the default octave. You heard that? So when I change the octaves, it changes, but then when I trigger another note, go back to the original octave. which you can do some super awesome stuff I'll show you later with some randomization of the octave, and it's just glitching it out, but then still going back to the original octave, which is super cool. FM doesn't do anything by default. We'll have to use the patch matrix here to do something with frequency modulation. Here is the unison menu or window, which we can't click on because we're right now on mono. I can only play mono notes or monophonic synth. If I click on it, it turns it into poly, so I can play chords. But if I click on this, now we're going into the unison or poly section, which can do a bunch of stuff here. I'll show you later. Okay? And if I click again, it's unison. And for some reason, sometimes it triggers a note, but there's some tiny bit quirks here and there that are probably in the max patch that Rico will have to update. Okay, nice. Here we have the volume envelope. So let me first let's get a decent, maybe just a basic sound here. So we can see, first of all, for this engine, while we talk about this just quickly, detuning between the two waveforms right here with this one, that's similar to the meld. Okay, square shaper, the timbre is a square shaper, so hard sync. And the morph, and let me click here to reset. This is the modulation knob for everything. We'll do this in a second. And this is the actual value for this parameter. Saw shaper, triangle to saw. Okay. So you have so many tones here in between everything. Whoops, let's... Nice, and the auxiliary sum of the two hard synced wave if I go all the way. Okay, and there's some notes that the creator of the cheat sheet created. Okay, sweet. So now here we have the volume envelope or the ADSR envelope that you can route to anything. By default, it's routed to the volume and to the filter right here. And again, just like we have these knobs, we can see that the filter, this is the actual value, and this is the modulation amount. So if I click on the filter, it's going to reset the modulation amount. We don't have any ADSR modulation on the filter. Then I can open it up. Okay, and we're adding this envelope to the filter modulation and to the volume, to the level here. Okay, and you can play around with that. Nice. Now each wire, virtual wire, you can click on. You can first delete if you don't want it. So that means even if this is up now, it doesn't do anything because it's not connected to any modulation. Here's the modulation sources and here's the destinations. So if I connect this here, okay. Now I can also click on the wire itself and drag down, and this is also another amount. Okay, so click and delete, connect, and you can also click and drag down for another amount control, because not all controls have this outer ring for the amount or polarity. Okay, sweet. We'll talk about more of this in a second. You can also clear the entire modulation matrix, and it will only be the ADSR to the level, and then you can randomize everything, which can create endless weird stuff. Okay, let's clear it again. Let's go to the filter. Nice. Now, right here, we have our LFOs, two LFOs which are the same. Each one of them have two modes here. You can switch between two modes. You can also synchronize them, just LFOs. And here you can change the shapes in all sorts of ways. Let's go to more of the square wave. This is more of a square wave. Okay, and you can change the poles with, you see the shapes here. So let's, for example, take our LFO, route it to the filter. Let's open up the filter modulation. And we can hear it open and close. Here I can change the speed. Let's make it not synchronized. And this shape is more, as you can see, more wavy. Sine wave and a bunch of all sorts of things you can wave shape with these controls. Let's go down even more, one more octave. So two LFOs are identical, and you can click on these arrows to see them in this window and adjust whatever you need. Okay, let's click on that. Let's delete that. We have a random modulator. It's just going to randomize. And just to remind everyone, let's do some crazy. Let's go here. Or maybe let's go. No? Maybe sound like this. But if I go and I want to randomize this timbre, I'm going to connect the random to the timbre, but it still doesn't do anything. Okay? We got to make sure that we apply modulation amount as much as you want. So now I'm focused on the randomness. Here's the speed. This is more wavy. This is wavy with some abrupt movements. This is a bit more abrupt movements, and this is the most chaotic. Okay, so it goes from wavy with abrupt, more abrupt, and abrupt kind of shapes, breaks of the shape, and completely crazy. You can even add more instability. So it really depends what you want to randomize. But just remember, you need these amounts of modulation, and you can click to reset that. Okay? Nice, let me delete that as well. Sweet. Sample and hold, it's not really sample and hold, it just randomizes with every new MIDI. So every new MIDI click, it will randomize it. So let's say we want to randomize the morph. Let's go to the morph. Or let's do something more obvious. Let's do the filter. Okay, and if you're in poly, you'll see that each voice has its own randomization, although you can also manual kind of create differences between the different voices manually if you want. But that's the sample and hold here. Sweet. Keyboard tracking. So that will change as you go up or down on your MIDI or on the keyboard. If you click here, you can also change it to aftertouch. You click it again, it goes back to key. It's a bug, because it's supposed to go to velocity. So for example, if I map velocity to filter, now it does matter how strong I hit or fast I hit the note to change this modulation. So this has actually 3 of them: aftertouch, key, and velocity. Audio will take the raw waveform, and we can do some more kind of FM modulation. If you can hear that. And ADSR, of course. Okay? Sweet. So that is quite simple, but still you can do so much cool stuff here. And remember, random can also give you some happy accidents. Sweet. Now here, or back in the original Plaits, we also have a low-pass gate. Low-pass gate is essentially an envelope mixed with a low-pass filter. So if I turn it on, this will make some difference to the sound. They're kind of combined. Okay, and this will also, as soon as we start mapping this envelope to other things. So as you can see here, we have these squares right here, and this will hard map or hardwire this to these destinations. So if I go to the level, you see all of a sudden it bypasses this, and it just goes by this. You can also trigger it, not from MIDI, but from clock. And clock is right here. If I move to the clock, now let me speed it up. So I'm just holding a note, and it's re-triggering this envelope, this low-pass gate, with this clock. Now I'm not holding any notes anymore. It's just continuous. You can even change the chance. So we kind of create this probability triggering. Okay, I can also do it to the morph, for example. And maybe we'll change our model here. Let's do it to the timbre as well.